we've been discussing the Chase Field saga that goes on, is the Diamondbacks say they are close. They're on the 5-yard line. Evidently, the Diamondbacks forgot that they play baseball.
Well, Tom Galvin, the Board of Supervisors chair, he used a baseball analogy. He said, rounding second, headed for home.
Okay.
So not third.
So I know he was on with the boys yesterday about Outspoken, as was Governor Hobbs. It was Galvin and Hobbs yesterday to talk about this. And he used that analogy. Hobbs said, and I credit her, she said, well, that's really great. We're close. Did you cut that? Is that part of this?
No.
She said they're in scoring position. I loved that. My computer just froze on me. Now my stuff's not working here, bud.
Need me to get it?
No, it literally froze. I know how freezing computers work. Unbelievable.
Looks like you unfroze.
It unfroze, yeah. No, that's a Merrill error there.
I'm not
okay, there we go.
as focused on the specific details as making sure that the stakeholders can get on board with something that works for everyone involved.
I want to address that in the next segment, what she just said there. Let's get to Galvin, though, because Galvin said he's not crazy about the county having to pay anything.
This bill was originally designed and advertised and sold as tax recapture from activity at the stadium, which makes sense, right? If you're
No, it doesn't. But listen to politician logic. Okay, here we go.
Which makes sense, right? If you're not a D-backs fan or you don't go to Chase Field for a concert like Billy Joel or Stevie Nicks, hey, no harm for you.
That is incorrect.
But if you buy a T-shirt, you buy a ticket, you buy a hot dog, then it makes sense that money can then be plowed back into the stadium. There was an amendment that came up about a month ago in which the legislation would scoop out money from the general fund from the county. We didn't like that. We didn't think that was cool because that takes away money from our deputy prosecutors. And what we're asking is to get back to the original intent of the bill, and I think we're heading in that direction.
The original intent of the bill was to hose Phoenix and the state, not the county. My job, says Galvin, I'm reading between the lines, is to worry about the county. We were fine with that. But now that we're getting hosed too, we don't like that.
Well, and taxpayers would be getting hosed bigger with that one, too.
And the argument is always, not if you don't spend money at the stadium. Let me help you out here on this one. Okay. We have seen a number of districts that have been talking about, in fact, was it Glendale that we were just discussing that they're doing the speed radars that they're doing? Tempe is bringing some stuff in.
And then I think Gilbert or Glendale.
I know Gilbert is short on funding this year. They said it's going to be really close on their budget, and Gilbert is bringing in more, or Glendale is bringing in more money for speed detectors. And part of what we are hearing from these different cities that are short on their budget is, listen, we've lost some revenue from the rental tax. If you recall, we had a rental tax, and then the state said, we're going to get rid of the rental tax. If you are somebody who rents, me, you were like, cool. If you're somebody who doesn't rent,
me,
Joe, you're like, wait a minute. What does that mean for me? Joe, did the tax cut on the rentals help you out at all?
No.
No. Instead, what you're seeing now is we're going to be short on budget. We have to come up with new ways to generate revenue with speed cameras and things like that. In fact, rolling back that tax actually
hurts me.
But it helped me. I'm very happy about it. So the fact is, anytime that you take tax dollars from one bucket and you move it to another bucket, it ends up either you have to short services somewhere else, and I don't know, maybe we just hand them a list of firefighters that they think we should fire. Maybe the Diamondbacks could just pick out, here's a list of firefighters, police officers, and teachers. Just circle the names you want us to fire so that we can make sure you get your tax recapture.
Yeah, if they're saying $10 to $15 million is going to come from the taxes generated at Chase Field, and the team is now going to get to keep that money to make repairs, the reality is you, me, Becky Lynn, everyone else is going to have to likely come up with $10 or $15 million from somewhere else.
But not if we just cut the parks.
What if we stopped helping homeless people? If we can come up with $10 or $15 million in services.
What if we stop filling potholes?
You know what? We should just chisel a little off of all these things.
That's a great idea. What if we cut the ESA program?
But
whoa. If this is coming down to the D-backs or the ESAs, whoa. I mean, which millionaire are you going to take the money away from, Joe? You can't do that.
But you and I both know, too, the government generally doesn't make a whole lot of cuts. They'll make some, but they will also raise taxes, and they will find another way
That's what's gonna happen.
to get more money from us for this.
Can we just tariff everybody that buys copper from Arizona or cotton
We
or
could,
cattle
sure.
or climate or citrus? Can we just tariff them? Tariffs work, don't they? Liberation Day? Galvin does have a proposal. I don't hate it, but as our guest earlier put it, there could be some egos that start fighting over what happens with that money. We'll tell you what it is, and you'll also hear what the governor had to say, because she seems to be okay as long as everybody else is fine. That's leadership. That's next. The Diamondbacks want your tax dollars to pay for their stadium, but don't worry, they're willing to contribute some of their money, maybe.
Well, they're going to get
Just don't
our
hold them
tax
to it.
dollars.
And 7 years ago, they said, if you don't give us more, we're going to leave. And then they sued the county, and the county settled, and they said, I'll tell you what, you can run the stadium. You can put on all the shows, you can have all the guests, and you can keep all of the proceeds. And then, but you just have to take care of maintenance. That was the deal in 2018. Under the deal, the team takes control of the stadium maintenance and is allowed to spend $35 million in repair money on a new scoreboard, which they got, air conditioning equipment, which is crap, and other items that were previously in dispute. The team also could receive up to $20 million from the county at the end of the contract as reimbursement for repairs. The team also takes over booking concerts and events from Scottsdale-based event manager Select Artist Associates. We fired the people that were operating the other events so that the Diamondbacks could do it. Any net revenue will be dedicated to repairs. In return, the county is released from any obligation to pay further repairs and maintains ownership of the land in downtown Phoenix, which county leaders said could be redeveloped if the team leaves. This was just 7 years ago that the Diamondbacks said, yes, we'll take care of all of it.
Until they decided it wasn't good enough, and they threatened to leave.
So now we're talking about legislation that's going to get pushed through. And if that legislation gets pushed through, what's to stop them from coming back later and saying, well, yeah, but we
Nothing. Nothing stops them.
The air conditioner has been a problem for over a decade.
The roof wouldn't open it would open, but there was a strap that supposedly could have injured or killed people.
But they're in charge of maintenance. And now they go, well, yeah, but we didn't want to have to spend money on that. So the governor was on with the boys yesterday about Spoken, and she says she is going to protect people.
If the Diamondbacks weren't playing at Chase Field, it would be empty and not generating any revenue at all.
That's true. But what does it matter if we're not collecting anything on the revenue?
I'm not as focused on the specific details as making sure that the stakeholders can get on board with something that works for everyone involved.
Wait a minute. Who are the stakeholders?
Well, so you've got legislatures, the people writing the bills.
Okay, yeah.
You've got Tom Galvin with the county, County Board of Supervisors.
Okay, that's a stakeholder, yeah.
You've got the team, the D-backs.
Yeah, okay.
You've got the governor.
Okay.
And then the taxpayers.
Okay, so let's see. Who was in that meeting? You had representatives of the governor.
Uh-huh.
You had Tom Galvin was in there.
Yeah.
From the county
The
supervisors.
team had some representatives.
The team had supervisors.
Uh-huh. The lawmakers were in there.
Lawmakers.
Uh-huh. Were you in there?
I was not.
I wasn't in there.
Did you get in there?
No.
So, okay, but whose money are we talking about spending?
Well, they were all there for us.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they know what's best for the taxpayers. That's what they're arguing about. They're all trying to go to bat for us, Chris.
Sadly, the elected officials are the ones who are supposed to be representing the taxpayers. And yet the elected officials are only worried about making sure that the team gets what they want, which is what they were worried about 7 years ago when the team said, if you don't give it to us, you give us this money or else. And now the team is saying, give us this money or else.
Well, Tom Galvin and the Board of Supervisors have a new proposal, though, too.
Go on.
He says, how about a unified approach? A single taxing district that owns and operates every major professional sports facility in Arizona. So Cardinals, D-backs, Suns.
Does that mean spring training?
I have questions on that. What about Phoenix Rising? They could end up being a Major League Soccer team.
Okay.
What about, do we consider the TPC Scottsdale? There's a pretty major golf tournament up there.
So I think we could hammer this stuff out and figure that out.
Mm-hmm. So,
You know?
okay, but who gets what portion of those things?
Oh, yes. So you would have all of them would be paying a certain taxing district that that this board would oversee.
Yeah, then you got 40 Suns games, you got roughly 8 or 9 Cardinals games, 80-something D-backs games,
So
all these spring training games.
What if the Suns come to you and they say, hey, we need some money for PHX Arena, and then the Arizona board that you're talking about, Sports and Tourism Board, says, okay, well, we'll take care of that. But then the Diamondbacks say, well, you can't fix up PHX Arena until you give us money for our new addition that we want to put in, or else we're leaving.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe, and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.